A luxury shipment passed 5 security checkpoints, biometric scans, and cameras, and still got robbed. Nobody touched the crates, nobody broke the seals. The system showed everything was clean. So how did sand end up inside?
The next morning at 7:30 a.m., Nora Cross was at the gate of Dubai International Freight Terminal, a thin folder in her hand, no sleep in her eyes from the night before. The moment she stepped inside the gate, she stopped first. She always did this. Look first, then move. The inside of the terminal was divided into 3 sections. To the right, the inbound cargo area, where shipments arrive. In the middle, the customs clearance zone. To the left, the outbound delivery bays, where goods go out. Nora took one look across the entire space. Every entry point had a camera. Every movement area had a sensor. This place was not blind. It could be watched very carefully. Terminal manager Yusuf Al-Mansouri walked toward her. He showed his ID card and shook hands. There was exhaustion in his voice. He had been up since the night, too. Yusuf explained, this shipment had left the origin facility 3 days ago, from Europe. There were 5 checkpoints: origin scan, freight forwarder handoff, Dubai customs entry, secondary verification, and the final delivery bay. Nora opened the folder and pulled out the first page. On it was the timeline of the 5 checkpoints. She read each line, slowly, without rushing. First checkpoint, origin facility, Germany. Second, freight forwarder warehouse, Frankfurt Airport. Third, Dubai Customs, Terminal A. Fourth, secondary X-ray verification. Fifth, this delivery warehouse. Nora looked at Yusuf. At any of these 5 points, were the crates physically opened? Yusuf said no. Only scans, only weight checks. The crates were completely sealed throughout. Nora heard this and took one deep breath. One question was forming in her mind. If the crates were sealed and scanned at every point, then when did what was inside change? She walked with Yusuf toward the delivery bay. The crates were still open there. 2 customs officers were standing near the sand piles, writing something. Nora went close to the crates. She crouched down. She touched one sand block with her hand. It was compressed, precisely, exact same weight. Someone had carefully made this. She looked at the inside of the crate. Not a single scratch, not on the bottom, not on the sides. This meant these sand blocks were not forced into the crate. They were already inside from the beginning. Nora stood straight. She turned once and looked at the seal on top of the crate. The seal was intact, exactly like the original manufacturer's seal, not broken. Yusuf said, the seal is original. Our customs team verified it. The manufacturer's code matches. Nora just listened, said nothing. She pulled out the second page from the folder. On it was the digital log of the chain, exact timestamps and 5 checkpoints. Nora started reading from the first time to the last, once, completely. Everything was sequential, no gaps, no overlaps, one after the other, exactly like a normal, routine shipment would look, no anomaly. Nora put the page down. She looked at Yusuf once, then she looked at the camera mounted on the ceiling of the delivery bay, then back at the page. What made sense so far was this. The shipment arrived, crates were sealed, all scans were clear, and sand was inside. That was not enough. Nora told Yusuf, I need the complete access log of this warehouse, from last night to this morning, every single person. Yusuf nodded and walked away.
When Nora got the warehouse access log, she sat down at a side table and started reading. The log had entries of hundreds of people who had come and gone from last night to this morning. She filtered the log to only the window when this specific shipment was in the delivery bay, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. In that window, only 12 people had come and gone. 9 of the 12 were authorized warehouse staff. 3 were customs officers. No one had come from outside. All 12 had clear biometric records, no unauthorized entry. Nora looked at this and thought for a moment. If something had happened here, something would show here, but the log was clean. She was not deciding anything yet. She told Yusuf, I need the full CCTV footage of the delivery bay from last night, only bay number 3, where these crates were. When the footage came, Nora sat down at a laptop. She kept the speed normal, did not fast forward. She wanted to see everything exactly as it was. 9 p.m., crates arrived in the bay. A forklift placed them. One warehouse worker checked the delivery slip. Then he left. The crates stood alone. 9:30 p.m., a customs officer came. He checked the seal number from outside, matched it with the manifest, put a tick, left. Crates were still sealed. 10 p.m., nobody. 10:30 p.m., the warehouse manager did one round. He only looked, touched nothing, left. 11 p.m., the receiving team arrived to open the crates. Nora did not find a single moment in the footage where anyone stopped near a crate. Not one moment where a crate was opened or anyone put a hand on it afterward. She got up from the chair, closed the laptop, walked toward the crates once again and stared at them again. Everything she had seen so far, nothing matched this. The sand blocks were exactly the right weight, not even a gram of difference. This was not done randomly. Someone had calculated in advance what would be inside and exactly how much it would weigh.
Nora picked up a sand block and held it in her hand. It was smooth, corners perfectly shaped. This was made by industrial pressing, not by hand. Someone had first found out the exact weight of the luxury items, then made sand blocks of that exact weight using an industrial machine, then packed them into the crates and applied the manufacturer's seal. This work had been done long before, so early that by the time these crates entered any checkpoint, it was already inside. Nora put the sand block back. She closed her eyes once, then opened them. One thing had come to mind. This warehouse is not the suspicious point. This is just the last stop. But still, one question remained. If the sand was already in the crates, why did Customs X-ray not detect anything? Nora asked Yusuf, what was the X-ray scan result? Yusuf pulled it from his system. Result, dense, uniform material, consistent with declared luxury goods packaging. No flag. Nora read this. When sand is compressed, on an X-ray scan it shows dense and uniform, exactly the way tightly packed luxury products look. The scanner cannot tell the difference. So someone had known this too. Someone knew what the X-ray scanner detects and what it does not. This was either insider knowledge or very careful research. Nora felt pressure building in her mind. The warehouse was clean, the footage was clean, the access log was clean, and still there was sand in the crates. Something was there that she had not seen yet. She pulled out the chain's timeline page from the folder again. This time she started reading from the end toward the beginning, backwards.
Nora spoke to 3 warehouse staff members one by one. One by one, the place, the time, the task, they kept telling her everything they had done. First, Senior Receiver Ahmed Al-Farsi. He told her he received the crates at the dock, checked the seal, matched the manifest, placed the crates in Bay 3. Nothing seemed off. There was no hesitation in Ahmed's account. Nora asked him about the timing. He gave a completely straight answer. It matched the footage, no gaps. Second, Logistics Coordinator Priya Nair. She told her she processed the digital intake of the shipment, entered each crate's serial number into the system, checked the weight on the scale. Everything matched. Nora asked Priya, "When you checked the weight, did you ever feel like something was different?" Priya thought, then said, "No, it was exactly according to the manifest." That was exactly it. The weight was perfectly correct. That is why nobody got suspicious. When everything matches the numbers, a person just moves on. Third, Customs Officer Khalid bin Rashid. He told her he physically verified the seal number, checked it in the manufacturer database. The seal was authentic, approved it. Nora asked Khalid, "Authentic seal means what exactly?" Khalid said, "The manufacturer's original seal. The code was valid. The system accepted it." Nora heard this and paused for a moment. Original seal. This meant the crates were sealed at the factory itself, or someone had a supply of original seals. She asked Khalid, "Can a manufacturer's seal be used more than once or only once?" Khalid said, "Only once. It becomes void when broken."
Nora processed this. The seal is used only once. This crate had an original seal on it, meaning these crates left the factory already like this. The manipulation happened before the manufacturer or from inside the manufacturer. All 3 witnesses had no contradictions in their accounts. All 3 matched the footage. All 3 had clear access logs. Nothing was sounding like a lie. Nora walked outside the warehouse. She stopped for a moment. Outside was the Dubai morning light. Empty tarmac, long lines of freight vehicles stretching into the distance. She thought, 3 witnesses, all 3 clean. Footage clean, log clean, seal original, weight exact, chain complete. But inside, just sand. Something had happened earlier, before entering this chain, or in the first part of the chain. Nora still did not know where. She came back inside and went directly to Yusuf. "I need the freight forwarder's contact, the Frankfurt one, and the origin facility's contact in Germany." Yusuf gave the numbers. Nora wrote them in her notebook. Then she picked up the chain's timeline page one more time, this time looked at it with different eyes. She thought 3 of the 5 checkpoints were in Dubai. All 3 were now clear. What remained was the Frankfurt freight forwarder and the origin facility, Germany. Something was growing in Nora's mind. Instead of simulating the chain forward, she now wanted to walk it backwards. She wanted to know what was clean at the end, what was right before that checkpoint. But there was one more thing to do first. The warehouse was clean, but she wanted to officially confirm this before taking the next step. Confirmation was needed, completely.
Nora contacted the Dubai Customs Secondary Verification Unit. She asked them for the data the system had recorded at the time of the X-ray scan. Raw data, not the processed version. When the data came, Nora sat down with a customs analyst to look at it. The analyst opened the scan image on screen. What was inside was dense and uniform, a completely consistent pattern. The analyst said, "This pattern looks no different from the tight packing of luxury goods. Compressed sand density also falls in the same range. The scanner cannot differentiate on density alone." Nora said, "So the scanner gave no red flag?" The analyst said, "No, the automated system gave a normal pass." Nora just nodded. She walked out of the analyst's room, stood in the corridor for a moment. This was now clear too. The X-ray was not a gap either. So all 3 Dubai checkpoints were complete and clean. She sent a brief message to her OVI contact. Dubai side clear. Last 3 nodes of the chain clean, going backwards. What had been assumed until now was this. The warehouse was the substitution point. What was now true was this. The warehouse was only the delivery point. Nothing had happened there at all. Nora thought for a moment. How many people had spent so much time in this chain? Customs, terminal, receivers, everyone had done their job, but everyone had received sand, and nobody knew. This was very important. This fraud was so well done that nobody in Dubai had any chance of detecting it. This was not Dubai's problem. Nora came out of the terminal. She sat in her car and dialed the Frankfurt freight forwarder's number. After a minute, a man picked up. Nora gave her name and the shipment's reference number. She asked, "When this shipment arrived with you, what was its physical condition?" There was a brief silence on the other side.
The freight forwarder said, "The crates came sealed from the origin facility. We only remanifested them and loaded them on the Dubai flight. We did not physically open the crates." Nora asked, "Did you check the weight?" The answer came, "Yes, it was an exact match with the manifest." Same answer. The same answer everywhere. Nora put down the call. She closed her eyes for a moment. Frankfurt was clean too. The 4th node of the chain was also clear. 4 of the 5 nodes were cleared. 1 remained, the origin facility in Germany, where the shipment had received its very first scan, where the chain had begun. A new question was forming in Nora's mind. If there was no gap after the chain started, then did something happen before the chain started, or in the very first moment of the chain? She opened her folder, pulled out whatever she had about the origin facility. The facility's name was Rheingold Logistics GmbH, 40 kilometers from Munich, a private freight preparation center. She dialed Rheingold's number. Nobody picked up. She tried a second time. This time, a woman picked up. Operations manager, Ingrid Hofer. Nora gave her name. A slight tension came into Ingrid's voice. She already knew this call was coming. She said, "We will fully cooperate." Nora asked, "I need your facility's digital log from the time of the shipment's departure, from entry scan to loading scan, all the data." Ingrid said, "We will send it by tomorrow." Nora said, "By this evening." Some silence, then, "All right." Nora put down the call. She was still in Dubai, but her entire attention was now on Germany. Only 1 node of the chain was left, and something was there. It had to be.
At 5 in the evening, Rheingold's digital log arrived. Nora sat in her hotel room and opened it. The log had 5 sections: intake, storage, preparation, scan, loading. Intake: crates had arrived from the manufacturer, accepted.
Storage, kept overnight. Preparation, final packing check. Scan, departure scan. Loading, onto the truck. Nora read section by section. Everything was normal. Timestamps were sequential. Worker IDs were valid. Everything looked like a routine freight processing operation. She stopped at the loading section. The truck had picked up the shipment from the facility. Timestamp was there. Arrived at Frankfurt Airport. Timestamp was there. Between the two, exactly the time a normal truck journey takes from Munich to Frankfurt. No gap. Nora read the scan section again. Departure scan. Timestamp there. Manifest confirmed. Timestamp there. The gap between these two scans, 3 minutes. Normal processing time. Preparation section. 1 entry for the final packing check. Timestamp there. How long before the scan was this? Nora calculated. 17 minutes before. 17 minutes. Was that normal? Nora thought. 17-minute gap from preparation to scan. Could something have happened in that time? She was not judging yet, just looking. She looked at the storage section. Crates had been kept overnight. 1 night. From intake to storage entry, 6 minutes. From storage entry to preparation, the next morning. No issue.
Intake section. There was something here Nora had not thought about before. The intake entry timestamp. Delivery of crates from the manufacturer. Nora noted that time. Then she did one thing. She compared the departure and arrival timestamps of the delivery truck from the manufacturer to Rheingold. Both matched. Normal highway travel time. So manufacturer to Rheingold, clean. Inside Rheingold, clean. Rheingold to Frankfurt, clean. Frankfurt to Dubai, clean. All 3 nodes in Dubai, clean. Nora closed the laptop. She got up from the chair. She was walking around the room from one side to the other. This is what she did when something would not settle in her mind. There was no gap in the chain. No node was clean just because of one reason. All of them were clean. The sand had moved legitimately through the entire chain. But where did the luxury goods go? Someone had removed them. To remove them, the crates had to have been opened somewhere in the chain. But they had not been opened anywhere, except at the Dubai delivery bay. Nora started thinking from a new angle. She had been asking where was the gap in the chain, but maybe that was not the right question. Maybe the question was, when did the chain begin? She opened a laptop again. She looked at the intake timestamp in the Rheingold log. Then she pulled the departure timestamp from the manufacturer's shipping record. Both matched. But the manufacturer's shipping record, this record had been provided by the manufacturer themselves. Had the manufacturer's internal system also been checked? Was there any record from inside the manufacturer's facility? Nora looked in the file. The manufacturer's internal record was not in the chain at all. The chain only started from Rheingold, where the shipment had been officially scanned for the first time. There was no data from inside the manufacturer.
That night, Nora found the contact number of the manufacturer, Maison Elara GmbH, Bavaria, a freight preparation division of the European luxury brand. She called the logistics head directly. On the other side was a man, Thomas Bauer, head of outbound logistics. Nora gave the shipment reference number. Thomas checked the system. After a moment, he said, "Yes, this shipment left from our facility." Nora asked, "Do you have the facility's internal departure log from the time the shipment came off the packing line to when the truck picked it up?" Thomas said, "Yes, we do. Our system logs everything: packing, seal, staging, loading." Nora said, "I need that complete log right now." When the log arrived, Nora opened it. It had 7 sections: packing line exit, quality check, seal application, staging area entry, staging area exit, loading dock entry, loading dock exit. Nora took the timestamps section by section and started writing them chronologically on a separate page. One step at a time, one time at a time. She wanted to build the complete timeline. Packing line exit, 09-14-33. Quality check, 09-17-05. Seal application, 09-22-41. Staging area entry, 09-23-18. All of this was normal. Each step took seconds or a few minutes. Then, staging area exit. Nora read that timestamp, 09-37-44. She looked at the previous timestamp, staging area entry,
09:23:18. The difference between the two, 14 minutes and 26 seconds. 14 minutes. Nora stopped for a moment looking at that number. She counted again, 09:23:18 to 09:37:44. Yes, 14 minutes 26 seconds. She read further, loading dock entry, 09:38:02. Loading dock exit, 09:41:15. Truck departure for Rheingold. Nora came back to the staging area gap. She looked in the log for any entry that would explain this gap. There was no entry. The log only had entry and exit, no record of what happened inside.
She called Thomas. "How long do items normally stay in the staging area?" Thomas said, 2 to 5 minutes, just for transfer. It is not far from the loading dock. Nora said, "And 14 minutes?" Thomas went completely silent. Then he said, "That is not normal." Nora said, "Is there any explanation in the log?" Thomas checked. "Yes, system sync delay." System sync delay. Nora wrote those 2 words on her page, underlined them, then underlined them a second time. She asked Thomas, "When does a system sync delay happen at your facility, and how long does it last?" Thomas said, "When there is a network update. That is usually 30 to 60 seconds. 30 to 60 seconds. But the log showed 14 minutes 26 seconds. And the reason? System sync delay. This did not match." Nora asked, "Is there a camera in the staging area?" Thomas said, "Yes, the facility has a complete camera system." Nora said, "I need the footage of the staging area from that time." Thomas was quiet for a moment, then said, "Let me confirm with HR and compliance. Can be sent by tomorrow." Nora said, "By this evening." Silence. "All right." The call ended. Nora looked at her page. On it was a timeline from the manufacturer to Dubai. Clean everywhere, except one place. Staging area, manufacturer facility. 14 minutes 26 seconds. System sync delay. That was it. She did not know yet, but that was it. These 14 minutes were something that someone had carefully explained in the log so that nobody would ask.
The footage arrived in the evening. Nora opened the staging area recording directly. Timestamp, starting from 09:23:18. Crates entered the staging area. A forklift placed them. The worker left. Then the screen went black, just for a second, then came back. But the crates were still there. Nora saw this and stopped. Why did the screen go black? She checked the timestamp. Screen went black at 09:23:41, 23 seconds after entry. Then the screen came back at 09:37:39. Gap, 13 minutes 58 seconds. The footage did not have 14 minutes in it. Nora calculated this. 13 minutes 58 seconds of footage was missing. The log showed a gap of 14 minutes 26 seconds. The two were different, but both were from the same time window. The camera had not recorded 14 minutes. The log had tried to explain 14 minutes with system sync delay, but the gap between camera and log was a mismatch. Someone had made a mistake. Nora continued the footage. When the screen came back, the crates were there, but there was one small thing. The position of the crates had shifted slightly. 3 centimeters, maybe 4, but it had shifted. She rewound the footage, noted the position of the crates when they came in, noted it again afterward, compared both. The shift was confirmed. Someone had moved the crates and placed them back, not placed in exactly the same spot. Nora processed this. 14 minutes, camera off, crates shifted, then camera on. This was someone's work. Someone had deliberately turned the camera off, opened the crates, swapped what was inside, and placed the crates back. But the seal was original, the manufacturer's. If the crates had been opened in the staging area, the seal would have broken, but the seal was intact. This was a contradiction. Nora thought once, what was the seal application timestamp? 09:22:41, and the crates entered the staging area, 09:23:18. The seal had been applied before the staging area. But if the crates were opened in the staging area, the seal was already on, meaning the seal was broken and reapplied. Or from a completely different angle, the crates were not opened in the staging area at all. Nora thought of a new question. Were those crates the same crates that had come from the packing line? Or were the crates replaced in the staging area, the entire crate, luxury goods crates swapped out with sand crates?
Crate replacement. The entire crate, pre-loaded with sand with the manufacturer's seal, brought into the staging area and the original luxury goods crate taken away.
This explanation solved the seal mystery. But for this, sand-filled crates had to already be in the staging area, exactly the same size, same markings, same seal code. This was planned in advance, very far in advance. Nora called Thomas. She asked, "Is there only one shipment in the staging area at a time or more?" Thomas said, "More. Multiple shipments stage at the same time for loading." Nora asked, "Were there any other shipments in the staging area at that time?" Thomas checked the system. "Yes, 2 more shipments, one for France, one domestic." Nora said, "I need the records of both those shipments and their footage too." Thomas said, "Why? What do they have to do with this?" Nora said, "Just need to confirm something." The records came. Nora opened the France shipment record. This was also luxury goods of the same brand, and its staging area entry, 09-21-04. Exit, 09-23-55. The France shipment was in the staging area for 2 minutes 51 seconds, normal. The Dubai one, 14 minutes. France shipment camera footage, clear. Dubai one, 14 minutes, black. Something was becoming clear in Nora's mind now. This was an inside job. Someone got access to the staging area camera and created a window between the France shipment leaving and the Dubai one's camera going black. And in that window, the Dubai crates were replaced with sand-filled crates, which had either been hidden inside some other shipment already in the staging area or had been brought in from somewhere else. This fraud was from inside the manufacturer, before the chain. The chain had only made the sand legitimate, completely, professionally, without leaving a single gap.
Nora called Thomas again. This time she spoke directly. "Who controls the staging area camera in your facility? Who has access to it?" Thomas said, "The security operations manager and his deputy." Nora asked, "Who was physically in the staging area at that time? Is there an access log?" Thomas checked. "Yes, only one entry. Stefan Riedel, security deputy." Stefan Riedel, alone in the staging area, 14 minutes, camera access. Nora wrote that name on her page. She asked Thomas, "How long has Stefan Riedel been working here?" Thomas checked. 13 months. Nora asked, "Where was he before?" Thomas checked. "A logistics firm, in Dubai." "In Dubai." Nora wrote that down. Stefan had worked in Dubai, at the other end of this supply chain. He knew both ends of the supply chain. Nora told Thomas, "Keep Stefan Riedel inside the facility. Do not let him leave. I am having OVI notify the German authorities." Thomas's voice changed. "Are you serious?" Nora said directly, "Yes," then ended the call. Nora called Director Miller. She gave the complete case summary in one go. Dubai to Germany, the reverse walk of the chain, the 14-minute gap, camera blackout, crate position shift, Stefan Riedel, the Dubai connection.
Miller listened, said nothing while Nora was speaking. Then, "So the chain made the sand legitimate. From start to finish, the chain only moved sand." Nora said, "Yes." Miller said, "OVI will coordinate the Germany side, alert the customs authorities on the Dubai side, and the receiver company too." Nora said, "It is happening." Nora put down the call. She came to the hotel window for a moment. It was night outside. The city's lights spread far into the distance. What had happened was this. Stefan Riedel, who knew the Dubai supply chain, had built a plan. From inside the manufacturer, using staging area access, he replaced the original crates. The sand-filled crates were prepared in advance. The manufacturer's seal was forged or duplicated. Then the chain did its job perfectly. Every scan, every checkpoint, every biometric, all of them treated the sand as luxury goods and delivered it all the way to Dubai. The luxury goods were still in Germany. Exactly where? That went to Stefan's network. That was not OVI's job. That was for the German authorities. Nora closed her laptop. She pulled out the 14-minute page from the folder, looked at it once, then closed the folder. There was no gap in this chain. The chain was perfect. It was perfect precisely because the chain had never carried anything else, only sand.